The holographic display flickered in Ambassador Maya Rodriguez's private office aboard the Galactic Council Station Harmony. Her dark eyes narrowed as she studied the ancient legal text floating before her, its alien script automatically translating through her neural interface. After 15 years representing humanity in the Council, she thought she knew all the important regulations. She was wrong. "Computer, verify translation of Protocol 47 Alpha again," she commanded, her voice steady despite her rising concern. "Species originating from gravity wells exceeding 1.4 standard units must be contained through diplomatic integration and economic dependency. Direct military conflict is prohibited due to catastrophic risk potential." Maya leaned back in her chair, the station's artificial gravity feeling uncomfortably light as always. Earth's gravity was 1.6 standard units. The implications made her head spin. The document was over 10,000 years old, predating humanity's contact with the galactic community by millennia. Yet somehow, it perfectly described the Council's approach to Earth since first contact. The generous trade agreements, the technological sharing, the careful cultivation of diplomatic ties. It wasn't just goodwill. It was containment. A gentle chime announced the arrival of first speaker Ixal, their crystalline form refracting the office's soft lighting. Maya quickly closed the holographic display, but not fast enough. "Ah, you found it." Ixal's translator rendered their harmonics into speech. "We wondered when humanity's curiosity would lead them to the ancient protocols." "How long were you planning to keep this hidden from us?" Maya asked, keeping her voice neutral despite the anger building in her chest. The slight vibration in Ixal's crystalline structure suggested anxiety. "Ambassador, please understand. The protocol exists for good reason. Before it was implemented, species from high-gravity worlds." Ixal paused, their crystal facets dimming. "The wars were devastating. Entire civilizations lost. The galaxy still bears the scars." Maya stood, careful to move slowly. She'd learned early in her diplomatic career that quick movements made most alien species nervous. Now she understood why. "We're not some danger that needs to be contained," she said. "Humanity has proven itself peaceful, cooperative." "Yes," Ixal interrupted, their crystalline form pulsing with emphasized frequencies. "Because the protocol worked. The economic integration, the cultural exchange programs, the careful guidance, it all served to direct humanity's natural capabilities toward peaceful pursuits." Maya thought about the Olympic Games, where human athletes competed in separate categories. The special reinforced sections on all council stations. The way other species always maintained a careful distance from humans in social settings. She'd attributed it to simple biological differences. How naive she'd been. "Show me the wars," she demanded. "If you're going to treat us like we're dangerous, we deserve to know why." Ixal's form resonated with reluctance, but they transmitted a data package to Maya's neural interface. The histories unfolded in her mind. Battles fought by species from high-gravity worlds. Beings with dense muscle mass and reinforced skeletal structures. Beings like humans, their natural abilities, evolved to survive on worlds most species would consider death traps, made them devastating in combat. "A single soldier from a 1.4G world," Ixal explained, "can continue fighting with injuries that would incapacitate most species. They can endure environmental conditions that would kill others. Their reaction speeds, their physical strength, their sheer endurance." The crystal being's translucent form shuddered. "The protocol exists to prevent such powers from being turned to warfare ever again." Maya processed this, thinking of her childhood on Earth. The mountains people climbed for fun, the oceans they swam in. The sports that would be lethal to most alien species. What seemed normal to humans was terrifying to the rest of the galaxy. "And what happens," she asked carefully, "if humanity discovers this containment policy? If we realize we've been diplomatically manipulated since first contact?" Ixal's crystal structure emitted a frequency that Maya's translator rendered as a sad smile. "That, Ambassador Rodriguez, is why I'm here. The Council has voted to offer humanity a choice. Continue as you are, enjoying the benefits of galactic civilization while accepting certain restrictions, or accept full disclosure of your species' capabilities and take humanity's place among the protectors, those who enforce the very protocols that once contained them. Maya's neural interface pinged with new data, records of other species who had made this transition, worlds with gravity nearly as high as Earth's whose inhabitants now served as peacekeepers throughout the galaxy. "How long do I have to decide?" she asked. "The Council meets in 3 days," Ixal replied. "Choose carefully, Ambassador. Either way, humanity's role in the galaxy is about to change dramatically." As Ixal departed, Maya turned to the window, gazing at the distant blue marble of Earth. Humans had always wondered why they'd been accepted so readily into the galactic community, why advanced species had been so willing to share their technology and knowledge. Now she knew it wasn't generosity, but survival. The question was, what would humanity do with this truth? Would they accept their prescribed role in galactic society, or would the revelation of their true status shatter the careful diplomatic bonds that had been woven around them? Maya opened a secure channel to Earth's government. It was time for humanity to decide its own fate with full knowledge of what they truly were in the eyes of the galaxy, not just another spacefaring species, but something that ancient laws deemed necessary to either contain or employ. The future of human-alien relations hung in the balance, and for the first time, humanity would enter the negotiation knowing exactly why they were feared and valued by the galactic community. Captain James Chen stood in the observation deck of the Galactic Military Training Facility Asterion, watching alien vessels maneuver through the asteroid field below. The massive holographic display showed dozens of ships from various Council species participating in what was supposed to be a routine combat exercise. But after Ambassador Rodriguez's revelation about Protocol 47 Alpha last week, nothing felt routine anymore. "Human vessel Hyperion, you are cleared to join the exercise," the controller's artificial voice announced through his neural interface. James acknowledged with a thought command, his crew of 20 already at their stations. The Hyperion was small compared to most alien warships, another detail James had never questioned until now. The Council had always cited economic efficiency as the reason for limiting human vessel sizes. He knew better now. They were afraid of what humanity could do with larger ships. "Beginning simulation," the controller announced. "Scenario: pirates have seized a civilian transport. All species will demonstrate their standard response protocols." James watched as the first team, a Centaurian battle group, approached the scenario. Their crystalline ships moved with mathematical precision, deploying energy nets designed to disable the target vessel's engines. The operation took 20 minutes and resulted in 0 casualties, exactly what the Council preferred. Next came the Volix, insectoid beings whose ships resembled metallic hives. They attempted to overwhelm the target with numbers, small drones attaching themselves to crucial systems. Effective, but time-consuming. Human vessel Hyperion commenced demonstration. James gave the order, and his crew moved with the practiced efficiency that came from evolving on a high-gravity world. The Hyperion accelerated at speeds that would have liquefied most alien species, despite the inertial dampeners. They'd had to redesign the entire propulsion system to accommodate human tolerance for G-forces. "Target acquired," his weapons officer reported. "Solution plotted." "Execute," James commanded. The Hyperion dove through a gap in the asteroid field that the alien observers had deemed too small for safe passage. The ship's enhanced structural integrity, designed to withstand the stress humans could survive, allowed for maneuvers that would tear other vessels apart. They'd reached the target in under 2 minutes. Precision shots disabled its weapons. A boarding team was ready before the other observers even registered what had happened. The observation deck erupted in alarmed chatter, translated through James's neural interface. Impossible acceleration. The G-forces alone should have. How did they plot a course through? The exercise controller's voice cut through the chaos. Demonstration complete. Human response time: 2 minutes, 47 seconds. New record for this scenario. James noticed the other species' ships had backed away from the Hyperion, maintaining what they probably thought was a safe distance. He'd seen the same behavior in person. Alien diplomats carefully positioning themselves away from humans at social gatherings, citing cultural preferences for personal space. His neural interface pinged with a priority message from Ambassador Rodriguez. "Captain, the Council has requested a full demonstration of human combat capabilities. No more holding back. Show them exactly why Protocol 47 Alpha exists." James smiled. "Understood, Ambassador." He opened a channel to his crew. "All stations, prepare for unrestricted combat simulation. They want to see what we can really do." The next hour changed the galaxy's understanding of humanity forever. The Hyperion moved through space like a predator, pulling maneuvers that had alien observers checking their instruments in disbelief. The crew operated under conditions that would incapacitate most species, their reaction times and decision-making enhanced by the very evolution that had allowed them to survive on Earth. When it was over, James received another message, this time from first speaker Ixel. "Now you understand, Captain. This is why the galaxy needed Protocol 47 Alpha. Your species can accomplish in minutes what takes others hours, survive conditions that would kill most beings, and adapt to situations faster than our combat computers can calculate responses." "We're not a threat," James replied. "We never have been." "No," Ixel agreed. "But you are something equally frightening to a peaceful galaxy. You are potential. Unlimited, unrestricted potential. And now you must decide how to use it." As the Hyperion docked with the station, James thought about humanity's choice. The Council had contained them through diplomacy because they feared what humanity might become. But they had also offered them a place among the protectors because they knew what humanity could achieve. His neural interface displayed another message from Ambassador Rodriguez. "The Council meets tomorrow. They've seen what we can do. Now we show them what we choose to do with it." The war games had proven what the ancient protocols had recognized millennia ago. Humanity's true power wasn't in their strength or speed or endurance. It was in their ability to push beyond what other species considered possible, to survive and thrive in conditions that would break most beings. The galaxy had tried to contain that power through peace. Tomorrow, they would learn if humanity would use it to protect the very peace that had been used to contain them. Dr. Sarah Patel's research vessel, the Curiosity, drifted at the edge of what her star charts labeled as Restricted Zone 417. Her crew of xenobiologists had been tracking an unusual energy signature when they encountered the massive warning beacons that marked the zone's boundary. "These readings can't be right," she muttered, studying the data streaming across her neural interface. "The beacon's warning messages are in languages that predate the Council by thousands of years." Her first officer, David Okafor, leaned over her shoulder, his dark features illuminated by the holographic displays. "Look at this classification code. It's similar to what they originally used for Earth. Another Deathworld." Before Sarah could respond, their sensors detected movement. A massive vessel emerged from fold space, its crystalline structure identifying it as Centaurian. The ship's size dwarfed the Curiosity. "Research Vessel Curiosity," a familiar voice transmitted. "This is first speaker Ixel. You have approached a restricted zone. Please hold position." Sarah exchanged glances with David. The presence of such a high-ranking council official at a seemingly random border checkpoint couldn't be coincidence. "First speaker," Sarah responded. "We were tracking unusual energy signatures. Our research mission has led you exactly where we expected it would." Ixel interrupted. "Your species' Curiosity is remarkably predictable. Permission granted to dock with our vessel. There are things you need to see." 30 minutes later, Sarah and David stood in a massive chamber aboard the Centaurian ship, surrounded by holographic displays showing worlds that made Earth look like a paradise, planets with crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, and radiation levels that should make life impossible. These, Ixel explained, their crystalline form vibrating with complex harmonics, are the worlds within Zone 417. And these, the displays shifted to show beings that moved with familiar efficiency, are their inhabitants. Sarah's breath caught. The creatures were different from humans in every way. Some resembled crystalline spiders, others looked like living storms, but they all moved with the same predatory grace she recognized from watching human athletes and soldiers. More Deathworlders, David whispered. Yes, Ixel confirmed. Species that evolved under conditions similar to or even more extreme than Earth. The zone contains 12 such civilizations, each capable of... Of what? Sarah asked when Ixel hesitated. Of ending our way of life, Ixel's translator rendered bluntly. Before Protocol 47 Alpha, Deathworld species often expanded aggressively, their natural capabilities giving them significant military advantages. The wars nearly shattered the galaxy. The zone system was created to prevent contact between such species until they could be properly integrated. Sarah's mind raced. You didn't just find Earth by accident, did you? You were monitoring us. For centuries, Ixel admitted, waiting until your civilization reached a point where diplomatic integration was possible. Some species in the zones are still too volatile for contact. Others, their crystalline structure dimmed. Others proved impossible to integrate and had to be contained more directly. David stepped closer to one of the displays, studying a world with gravity 3 times that of Earth. These beings, they're like us. Whatever you fear we could become. No, Ixel corrected. They are what you were. What Protocol 47 Alpha prevented you from remaining. Isolated, aggressive, expanding through strength rather than cooperation. The first speaker's form brightened. Your species adapted to our methods remarkably well. Better than any Deathworld species we've encountered. That's why you're here. What do you mean? Sarah asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. The Council has voted to offer humanity a new role. There are other Deathworld species approaching the point of contact. They need to be guided, integrated, as you were. Who better to do so than those who have successfully made the transition? The implications staggered Sarah. Humanity wouldn't just be joining the protectors, they would be helping to shape the future of other species like themselves. The very qualities that had made them dangerous could be used to prevent future conflicts. How many? David asked. 3 species are approaching contact readiness within the next decade. Their worlds make Earth look hospitable. Their natural capabilities exceed yours. They will be difficult to integrate. Unless, Sarah realized, they see living proof that Deathworld species can thrive in galactic society without sacrificing their strength. Precisely. Ixel's form pulsed with approval. Ambassador Rodriguez is presenting the proposal to your governments now. You would work with us to monitor, evaluate, and eventually guide these species. Your research mission wasn't random, Dr. Patel. We needed to confirm you would find your way here. Curiosity, after all, is one of your species' most remarkable traits. Sarah turned to the displays, watching beings from worlds as harsh as Earth or harsher going about their lives, unaware that their future hung in the balance. The galaxy had contained humanity through peace and cooperation. Now they were being asked to help extend that peace to others like themselves. Show us everything, she said. If we're going to help guide these species, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. As Ixel began sharing detailed files on the zone's inhabitants, Sarah couldn't help but smile at the irony. The very traits that had made humanity dangerous, their strength, their adaptability, their curiosity, were now being wielded as tools for peace. Perhaps that was the greatest victory Protocol 47 Alpha had achieved, turning potential weapons into protectors. Emergency alarms blared through the Galactic Council's central chamber as Ambassador Maya Rodriguez watched the holographic display with growing horror. The swarm, a previously unknown species from deep space, had torn through the galaxy's outer defense networks like they were made of paper. Their biomechanical ships seemed to ignore the laws of physics, absorbing energy weapons and shrugging off conventional attacks. "The Centaurian defense fleet has fallen," a report echoed through the chamber. "The Volix high ships have been forced to retreat. The swarm has breached containment in sectors 7 through 13. First speaker Ixal's crystalline form vibrated with frequencies that Maya's translator couldn't render. Around the chamber, representatives from 200 species argued in a cacophony of languages and communication methods. Fear, something Maya had rarely seen in the council chamber, was palpable. "We must deploy the protectors," someone shouted. "The protectors are already engaged," another voice countered. "They're barely slowing the swarm down." Maya's neural interface pinged with a priority message from Captain Chen aboard the Hyperion. "Ambassador, we're seeing the battle data. The swarm's ships, they're adapted to high-gravity environments. Their reaction speeds, their structural integrity. They're Deathworlders." The revelation hit Maya like a physical blow. A species like humanity, but one that had developed in isolation, without the Council's careful guidance. One that had chosen conquest over cooperation. "Speaker Ixal," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. "The swarm, they're from beyond the quarantine zones, aren't they? A Deathworld species we didn't find in time." The chamber fell silent as Ixal's form dimmed in confirmation. "Yes, we detected their civilization too late. By the time we located their world, they had already developed their biomechanical technology. They refused all attempts at diplomatic contact because they knew they were stronger than you," Maya realized. "They saw the galaxy's standard forces as prey, not peers." She thought of humanity's first contact, how different things might have been if the Council hadn't approached them carefully, hadn't guided them toward cooperation rather than conquest. A new alert blared. The holographic display showed a swarm fleet approaching a populated sector. Billions of lives were in their path. "We need to deploy everything we have," someone insisted. "Our conventional forces are insufficient," Ixal responded. "Even our most advanced weapons cannot match their natural advantages." Maya stood, drawing the attention of the chamber. "Then deploy us. Not just the human ships already in the Protector fleet, all of us. Every human vessel, every human soldier." "That would mean revealing everything," Ixal warned. "No more restrictions, no more hidden protocols. Your people would know their true capabilities compared to other species." "They already suspect," Maya countered. "After the war games, after discovering the quarantine zones, we know what we are. But we also know what the Council helped us become. Let us prove it." The chamber erupted in debate. Maya noticed some representatives physically backing away from her, the old fear of Deathworlders resurrecting. But others were nodding, their species equivalent of agreement rippling through their various forms. "The Council cannot authorize unrestricted human military deployment," someone argued. "Protocol 47 Alpha exists for a reason. The risk is less than the certainty of what happens if the swarm isn't stopped," Maya interrupted. "You contained us through peace and cooperation. Now let us defend that peace." Ixal's crystal structure pulsed with rapid frequencies as they consulted with other council leaders. The holographic display showed more swarm ships emerging from fold space. Time was running out. Finally, Ixal spoke. "The Council hereby temporarily suspends all restrictions under Protocol 47 Alpha. Humanity is authorized to deploy its full military capability against the swarm threat." Maya was already transmitting orders through her neural interface. Across human space, ships that had been restricted in size, power, and capability were being unleashed. Soldiers trained to hold back were given permission to operate at their full potential. The galaxy was about to see exactly what humanity could do when they stopped restraining themselves. "All human forces," she broadcast, "the Council has given us unrestricted authorization. The swarm is like us, A Deathworld species that chose aggression over cooperation. Show them what humanity can really do. Show them why the galaxy chose to make us protectors instead of trying to contain us by force. As the first reports of human ships engaging the swarm came in, Maya watched the other council representatives' reactions. They were about to learn whether Protocol 47 Alpha had truly succeeded, whether humanity would use their capabilities to defend the galaxy that had once feared them, or whether unleashing them would prove to be the Council's final mistake. The breaking point had arrived. The galaxy was about to discover what humanity had really become under their guidance, for better or worse. The battle for the Orion sector had been raging for 6 hours when Captain James Chen realized something crucial about the swarm's tactics. Their ships moved with devastating speed and power, but there was something familiar in their attack patterns. They're fighting like predators, he transmitted to the human fleet, like we would have without the Council's influence. The Hyperion's bridge hummed with activity as his crew operated at full capacity, no longer holding back. Their ship, finally unleashed to its true potential, moved through space with the same predatory grace as the swarm vessels, but with one crucial difference. All human vessels. Ambassador Rodriguez's voice came through the neural interface. Coordinate with Council ships. We're not lone hunters anymore. Show them what cooperation really means. The human fleet responded with practiced precision. Ships that could survive maneuvers that would tear other vessels apart now used that capability to shield their alien allies. Crews that could think and react faster than most species became the coordination centers for combined fleet operations. Dr. Sarah Patel, watching from the Council's command center, analyzed the swarm's movements. Look at their evolution. She commented to first speaker Ixel. Their world must have been even harsher than Earth. They evolved to dominate rather than adapt. Like humanity might have, Ixel observed, their crystalline form pulsing with complex harmonics, if we had not found you in time. The battle reached its crescendo as the swarm launched their final assault. Their biomechanical ships, products of a civilization that had evolved in isolation and chosen dominance over diplomacy, crashed against the combined forces of the galaxy, led by the very beings they most resembled. Captain Chen's voice cut through the tactical channels. All human ships. Execute Protocol Omega. Show them what Deathworlders can really do when we work together. The human fleet moved as one, their maneuvers complementing the unique capabilities of each Council species. Crystalline vessels provided energy shields while human ships dove through gaps in the swarm's formation that other species couldn't survive approaching. Volik's hive ships deployed their drones in patterns calculated by human tactical officers operating at full capacity. When it was over, the remaining swarm vessels retreated into fold space, their first defeat in a campaign that had seemed unstoppable. The Council chamber erupted in celebrations rendered in 100 different forms of expression. Ambassador Rodriguez stood before the Council, her neural interface displaying the battle statistics. This is what Protocol 47 Alpha really achieved, she declared. Not just containing us, but teaching us a better way to use our capabilities. The swarm showed us what we could have become. We showed them what we chose to be instead. First Speaker Ixel addressed the chamber, their crystalline resonance carrying to all corners. The Council hereby permanently modifies Protocol 47 Alpha. No longer will it be a tool of containment, but one of guidance. Humanity has proven that Deathworld species need not be feared. They can be taught, integrated, helped to become something greater than their origins might suggest. Sarah Patel's research team was already analyzing data from the battle. Their technology, their biology. We can learn so much from them. Maybe even help them, if they're willing to listen. And if they're not, someone asked. Then we'll be ready, Captain Chen responded. Not just as warriors, but as proof that there's a better way. We're not just protectors anymore. We're living proof that evolution doesn't have to be destiny. Maya Rodriguez looked out at the assembled representatives of 200 species, beings that had once feared what humanity might become, now celebrating alongside them. We are all nature's children, she said. even those of us from worlds that nature made harsh. The difference isn't in where we came from, but in what we choose to become. As the council session ended, new directives were already being issued. Human ships would now lead expeditions to the edges of known space, seeking other Deathworld species before they could develop in isolation. Earth would become a training ground for the Council's diplomatic corps, teaching them how to approach and integrate similar civilizations. The galaxy had feared the potential of Deathworld species for millennia. Now, through humanity's example, they had found not just a way to contain that potential, but to transform it into something greater. The very traits that made such species dangerous, their strength, their adaptability, their drive to survive, could become their greatest gifts to galactic civilization. First speaker Ixal approached Maya as the chamber cleared. "Your people have exceeded all our expectations," they admitted. "We sought to contain a threat. Instead, we gained something far more valuable." "What's that?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. "Hope," Ixal replied, their crystal form glowing with optimism. "Hope that even the harshest worlds can produce not just survivors, but guardians. Not just warriors, but teachers. Not just strength, but wisdom." As Maya looked out at the stars, she thought of Earth, the death world that had forged humanity into something the galaxy feared, until they learned to become something the galaxy needed instead. They were nature's children, but they had grown beyond nature's constraints, and now they would help others do the same. The galaxy's no-war policy hadn't just protected the universe from Deathworlders. It had protected Deathworlders from themselves, showing them a better path. And humanity, once its target, had become its greatest success story.